have a wonderful experience. Okay, now let's talk about technique. How do we achieve the pastoral effect with a digital camera? With a digital camera, it starts with something I call photography. You'll see why I call it in a minute. First, let me tell you about the gear. The Sony RX1 was the first full-frame sensor compact camera when it was released a bit more than 4 years ago. It's got everything I need and nothing more. An incredibly small form factor, a beautiful fixed 35mm Carl Zeiss lens, and the new version has a whopping 42.4 megapixel sensor. With a small camera like this one, I can get away with a fairly compact tripod, on top of which is a similarly compact but very important contraption called a panoramic tripod head, which gives me a precise way to capture overlapping views of the scene I'm shooting. And that's all I need. With this compact setup, I then capture multiple views horizontally, let's call that X, multiple views vertically, let's call that Y, and multiple exposures deep from dark to light, let's call that Z. It's not really depth. It has nothing to do with distance. It's about capturing a higher dynamic range of exposures from underexposed to overexposed to more closely match how our eyes see instead of how the camera sees. On average, it takes me about a minute to capture the entire scene. I then use 3 different commercial software packages to merge this cubic array of photos into a coherent scene. I blend the multiple exposures from front to back with Aurora HDR. I stitch together the multiple views with AutoPano Pro, and then I crop and sweeten the image with Photoshop. And what I mean by sweeten is all I really do is adjust the tonal range just a little bit to reduce the haze, really. Now, I'm calling these interim results because you may have noticed I haven't yet started talking about the artificial intelligence element that I introduced in my work last year, but we'll do that in a minute. With the technique of XYZ photography, you end up with a scene that's more immersive due to the wide angles, both the X and the Y. A scene that's more vivid due to the high dynamic range, the Z. And a scene that is much higher fidelity, containing up to 200 times as many pixels as an HD TV and up to 10 to 40 times as many pixels as you'll get with a Pro DSLR camera. What you're seeing here is an unretouched photo of a 4-foot high by 8-foot wide light box that shows the kind of richness we're talking about. I put this graphic together to illustrate the XYZ difference. The inset photo you see here on the right is what you get with a single exposure with a 35mm lens. You can see that the XYZ method yields an image that is much more immersive, more vibrant, and much higher resolution. So finally, we have to talk about presentation. To be most impactful, these scenes should be printed, in my opinion, no less than 8 feet wide. And they should be backlit. We are creatures of light. We're drawn to light. That's why I've been so focused on producing light boxes these last few years. A big bonus about light boxes is this. They're containers. It's very easy to image to keep things fresh. So it turns out the entire time I was conducting my XYZ photography experiments, there's been this evolution in artificial intelligence and perhaps to some of the people in this room. I'll let Joseph speak more about this in depth after me. In July 2015, your company released a bit of open source software called Deep Dream that became a viral sensation. How many of you were aware of that when that happened? A few, okay? So as I understand it, Deep Dream was originally created to help your